Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we're joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey player and Ice World champion Ryan Devine. Ryan most recently played in the SPHL with the Knoxville Ice Bears, as well as playing in the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the Southern Professional Hockey League, and the East Coast Hockey League throughout his career so far, as well as having a stint in Slovakia. He is also the most recent signee of the ECHL's Kansas City Mavericks. Congrats to Ryan on that. I'm very excited to dive right into everything. So welcome to the show, Ryan Devine.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's quite the intro.
Yeah, of
I
course.
everything down. What else do you need to know?
There we go. We're gonna talk about everything, and we're gonna talk Ice Wars, talk your professional career. But first, I want to get into like you're born in Wayne, Pennsylvania. So like, what was it like growing up from youth hockey into junior hockey?
Yeah, up on the outside of the Philly area, you don't really have much knowledge about junior hockey over here. You had little flyers and junior flyers, but uh, not much of the USHL talk unless you were kind of, you were a star at 12, 14 years old. Um, I kind of first heard about it when Johnny Gaudreau was coming up and played against him when we were younger, but um, I didn't really know much about juniors until after I'd already been to university. So um, it wasn't until after my first year of college I talked to a kid that I played high school hockey against, and he was just talking about coming out to his team and how fun it was, and I wasn't ready to be sold yet on being a gym teacher. So I tried juniors out after going to college for a year and a half, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah, and like throughout that time, like you spent time with the Dells Ducks and the MNJHL, as well as the Southern Oregon Spartans and the WSHL. So like what were those first 2 years like of junior hockey for you, since that's a bit of a transition from the college life?
Yeah. Junior hockey was fun. I remember it was my last college game. I actually didn't know it was my last college game, but my last college game I played in. It's funny because there was a line brawl, and I had two guys up against the glass. There was like I get come in late, but I grabbed two guys, and it was like when Bufflin was on the Jets, and he just grabbed the Vegas Golden Knights. It was in the playoffs, I
Just
think.
starts ragdolling them.
And I'm just like, don't get into a fight. I was like, your team needs you. You'll get kicked out. You could miss several games. I don't know what the rules are. I was so scared. Little did I know that was my last game before I went and played juniors and fought, as much as I could. After my first one, I loved it. So, um, yeah, they kind of kept rolling in after the first one.
Yeah, that's a way to end your last college hockey game, is getting into a fight and just having two guys just wrestling them down.
Yeah, but not throwing any punches because I knew I was going to get in super trouble and not play. And then that's one of the, if I could go back, I would have done that one a little bit different. But can't complain where I'm at now.
Yeah, not worth the sussies at the time. But then you found your way into Toronto Blue Ice Jets in the GMHL before going on to your professional career with the Watertown Privateers and the Federal Hockey Leagues. Like, what was that year like for you, and that transition between the GMHL to your first stint in Watertown?
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to take that route. I had committed to Worcester University, um, finishing up my year with the Southern Oregon Spartans, and I was out in that area and went and visited the school and called the coach and let him know I was taking a tour of university, with my family, and couldn't get a hold of him. So just kept on with our self tour. Went and saw some dorms. Uh, finally located the rink. It's like 15, 20 minutes, I believe, away from campus. It wasn't the end of the world, but when you got there, it's dark. The bleachers are those wooden pullouts from, built in the '60s. It was an old small barn, which could have been cool, and I heard they do well, but I don't know. I just had a bad feeling, and right after that visit, I remember I got called to go play in Toronto for the Blue Ice Jets. So I took it as a sign. The guy told me if I come play juniors, he'll find me a spot in the CHL after the season's over. Luckily, I had a good season. I think I had 85 points, which will never happen again for me. I don't care what league, but yeah, I put up some points, and after 2-3 points in that game, I would fight, because after a fight you get kicked out. So I would get my points, have a little fun, and then watch the third. It was I was 21, so playing against 16, 17-year-olds. Look at other people that have come from that league. There's guys in the coast right now coming from that league. So don't be careful how badly you talk about that league, because there's some hidden gems in the G. But yeah, Clarkey called me to Watertown, the Privateers. Played 8 games. Didn't get to play in playoffs. You needed 10. One of the games never got rescheduled, so I was 1 game short. It was hard going home watching them go and compete in the playoffs. But went to Danbury the following year. Rough season with concussions. I will say that. That was my first ever stint with. I got a head to the chin on a check, and I just collapsed, and I was out for 3 months. Like I said before, I wasn't able to leave my bedroom without sunglasses on. The light, I was so sensitive. Sitting up off the couch, getting head rushes was not fun. I thought my career was over, but went back after like month 3, right before playoffs, finished the season, and they didn't want me back the next year, which is okay, because I went to Port Huron and beat them in the finals. So it was I wouldn't say a fairy tale ending, but it was cool beating the team that didn't want you back. And then called it a career for a bit. Didn't have any
Yeah.
call up my time, and started teaching fitness in New York for 2 years, 2.5. I took some time away. Got into real estate in Atlanta, and then moved to New York City, got into fitness, and then got the itch, wasn't super in shape, went back to the Fed. 8 days later, I got called up to the SB. So finally got out of there, and then the next year COVID hit, and we all took a fall. What was that, 2 years? Or
Yeah, 2, like 1.5, 2 years, so something like that.
Try to skip forward. Got lucky with a job in Slovakia. Only played 4 games, but it was coming down to the wire. They had playoffs and brought me in as a fighter. Only had 2 fights. One was the strongest human I've ever met on skates. I tried to push him, and he was just so, self-set, like grounded into that ice. I went to push him, and I went backwards, and the shirt came through the jersey, and it just ended quickly. I was like, what the hell? But the one I laid up. What happened? I laid out some guy coming out of the zone, coming across the blue line, and then one of their Canadian defensemen came across the ice, and I was right at the end of my shift, was gassed. I don't know. I don't even remember throwing anything, but we ended up falling, and that was it. So Slovakia, sorry, you didn't get a show, but it was COVID, so there weren't many people watching. But Slovakia was a hell of a time. 3 months there is plenty. It was COVID, not to be rude, it was COVID, but it was cool. I think I mentioned before about living there downtown. They had a 1,300-year-old castle, and that's probably the coolest place I've ever been. So
Yeah, and it was
And
like right outside your living room window, right?
yeah, as we talked before, it was you could look right out the living room window. You could walk. We lived above a cafe, me and my roommate, and the views um, from right down the hill. You know, it's 100 yards away, but it's up on this hill. It looks so far yet so close, and just a shame it was closed because of COVID. But I probably got 100 pictures of that castle on my phone. Would definitely go back to see the inside, but playing hockey in Slovakia just not my speed. I used to
What
way too.
was it? What was the difference in skill there?
Uh, all the fast players were all 16, 17, 18 years old. You know, I was 28. All the guys that were like my age were already youngsters and you know, out of their prime, but like we're rookies in the KHL when teams had to have like a U18-year-old kid. 3 of the guys on my team played in the KHL, and then the guys that were slower than me all had 10, 15 years in the KHL and were just ahead of me, you know, mentally fit. They just knew the game way smarter. Um, it's just a different game. You don't see much forechecking out there. You don't ever see a puck dumped into someone corner and, you know, laying a big hit and over in Europe. It's unheard of.
Yeah, so it was not the best place for you to be like
And now,
and for your game.
yeah, it's not my style. It's okay.
Yeah. But you had a great time there
Doing good.
with your living situation, everything like that. So hey, that's a plus.
Yeah, it's a small world because my roommate was actually uh, an old teammate of my brother. So uh, Aaron Barisha was my roommate in Slovakia, and I played with his brother when I first went to Watertown Privateers in 2014, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a small world.
Yeah.
Never know who you're gonna meet and or whose brother you're gonna meet or anyone like in the family that have played at a high level like that. And like everyone knows each other in some way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
We're awesome.
But
We're awesome. I know we had to do this again. We lost audio, but I don't want to keep running my mouth. But what else? What other questions? I don't want to just keep talking about where I've played, but
yeah, but like what like you talked about like the pizza in Slovakia, like what was the food like there?
yeah, that was a little different. I did I did eat when I was over there, but I lost a lot of my strength in Slovakia. I uh, I was trying so hard to get into the lineup, and none of them spoke English other than like one of the assistant coaches. But it was every day working on footwork and all that crap.
Yeah.
It did me great, but I was so weak. I don't know why, but I fighting to get into the lineup and just wasn't eating as much as I should have been. But yeah, one of the favorite dishes over there. Everything was fine. You just needed to add your own salt and pepper. Everything
Yeah.
just needed. There's a lot of stuff in here that in America that you won't see on the shelves there because it's just the CDC shut it down. Like there's uh, the amounts of sugar and things over there. Everything's got to be natural. Nothing can be added. But yeah, we're talking about the pizza. I saw it first on the road when we went to Poprad, and after the game, getting on the bus, and there's ketchup. There's a walkway. There's a was it a staircase in the front, but then there's a staircase in the middle, kind of like a SEPTA bus or whatever kind of bus you see in the cities.
Yeah.
But it was elevated, but they had the stairs in the middle, and it was food and ketchup. And I saw the pizza boxes, and I was like, "That's a lot of ketchup." Is there like what was the other option? Chicken fingers and fries or whatever. But the ketchup was for the pizza, and the pizza was only one kind, and it was tomato and cheese, normal cheese pizza, but then it had sliced ham and corn, and that was it. And guys were just unloading ketchup, and it was pretty gross, but it tasted good. I had to try it. It's just sugar on top of more sugar, corn, and then Canadian bacon, and then pizza. It's a weird combination, but it works, I guess. It wasn't my
I've
favorite.
never heard of corn on pizza. That's a new one.
Yeah, yeah, it was different. Whatever, it worked. It worked. It was free.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta get all the free shit that you can.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky with how well they treated me over there. What they gave me as souvenirs and stuff like that coming back home. I
Yeah,
got
that's always great to have that stuff like from the organization. Just like it's a good like or it's like a good welcome and like goodbye to the organization.
Yeah. After retiring the first time, I liked to collect things on my way out because you never know when it's going to be your last game.
Yeah.
So ever since I've come out of retirement, I've tried to collect what I can, and you never know what's uh, when it's going to be your last. So
What's been the best thing that you collected so far?
um, collected. It's mainly just gear, and I would say Slovakia, the Trenchant. They gave us our away jerseys. They are yellow, but um, I walked around the room and had every guy sign it. So there's a few guys that are on NHL contracts on that team, but other than that, I got to keep the gloves and the helmet. It's cool. It's got the sticker on the front, and they got like they do their logos in like the back,
Yeah.
and then the gloves were just you know top notch. Everything was double stitched. The logo on the thumb. That was really cool. But other than that, I gotta say, I just all the pictures I took over there. They have uh, they have a museum inside the rink
Oh,
from
that's sick.
the club, the Dukla Trenchant and Team Slovakia. Um, right from when they split from the Czechoslovakia back in '92, I believe, 91, 92, 90, maybe 90. But they have all the equipment from. They have like a knife, and it's wrapped around a bone, and the bone was the skate, and the knife went into the bone. And that's what the skates were back then.
Wow. That's wow. I couldn't imagine what the skates are like back then and just like how you're able to skate on that and on
I
the
don't.
blades like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of trial and error with putting a knife on the bottom of it was like a forearm bone.
Wow. That's nuts. It's a historic piece in the hockey world.
Right. Yeah, it was cool seeing all the guys that made their way to the NHL there, like Chara, Hossa, Gaborik, Tatar, I believe. There's a couple more now, but yeah, it was a really talented league. I remember we talked before about the talented guys in that league coming up because it was COVID. There was no OHL that year,
Yeah.
so you guys like 17-year-old Brant Clark running the power play for I think they were called Nova Zemke. And I was like, why don't like God, just hit this kid? But nobody could. It was so quick. Got the puck off the wall and was at the center of the blue line, lofting pucks in with maybe a stride. Maybe it
Wow.
took him a second, but
Like
he
what
was
the
fun.
fuck is going on here?
Yeah. I was like, he's 17. It's crazy how talented, how much, how talented and how younger they're getting every year.
Yeah, the game keeps getting quicker and quicker, and like it just changes like that every single year. It's a new
Year.
step. It's a step up from the year before.
Yep.
Yeah, but then after your time in Slovakia, you spent time back in Watertown with the Watertown Wolves, where you guys won the championship. But you also got SP and Coast calls as well to the Vermilion County Bobcats in the SP and the Fort Wayne Comets in the Coast. Like, what was that year like for you?
That was a very stressful year. Had a lot of things going on back home, but glad I went through it because once that was all over, the weight that fell off my shoulders. Now I'm able to focus on just hockey.
Yeah.
The very short future, but it's bright. The next season coming up, so I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, like what was it like winning the championship with Watertown that year and just be able
Definitely,
to get that championship?
uh, it was my second one, so it was way more special. Um, Especially being, having the assist on the game-winning goal in
Yeah.
overtime, dreamed about. But there's just more special. The team was every team's different, but that had to be the most talented from goaltending, defense, offense, coaching. Like that was the most complete team I've ever been on in a long time. We had perfect amount of vets, and I played with almost every single one of them in years past. So we had like 6, 7 vets that all had like almost 10 years experience. And then we had a bunch of rookies that just buzzed around. And yeah, we even had a draft pick on that team. He got 10 games in and played playoffs with us. We were stacked, but it was special for sure. Played a little bit bigger of a part. Um, but it was cool winning it on home ice in front of fans.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially when you win it at home and just the way you guys did with winning it in overtime and you getting like one of the assists with that goal and like it just makes everything more and more special.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Port Huron, we won by like a goal or two, so
Yeah.
being on the ice when the countdown was you've always dreamed about, but then you always dreamed about being on the ice for a game winning goal.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were both done that way, you can't plan it, but couldn't have ended any better.
Yeah, and like that's awesome. And then you get the chance to move up into the SPHL full time last season with the Knoxville Ice Bears. And like you said in the other podcast that we that didn't have audio, you said like it was a great organization and like you have nothing but good things to say about Knoxville. It's like what was that organization like?
Yeah. Oh wow, my time in Knoxville was definitely the best overall from beginning to end. The You get there, and I think it's day 2 or 3 training camp, and you'll never see this, but uh, it was the day University of Tennessee was playing Alabama, and our owner came into the locker room, and him and our coach decided to give us the rest of the afternoon off after our morning skate. We should have had a second skate in the afternoon, but they gave us off, and then um, we had to report the next day. But we had fun that night. After the first skate, they walked us all the way down to the stadium, and there's I don't know. It could be wrong. It looked like 100,000 people out from where they get off the
Yeah.
bus and walk into the arena. People are standing there for hours waiting on them. But that was, pretty cool watching that. Never really been to a college game day before, but their biggest win of the season. Um, Being down there, we didn't get inside the stadium, but being outside for all the fireworks and watching all the sad Alabama fans is cool.
Yeah.
But we did get to go to the boys went to a game against Mizzou. They dominated. It was cool. It was definitely awesome seeing all that orange and white. But yeah, that was a cool whole season. We had opening night. the baseball team that came out and dropped the puck, and we wore like Tennessee Vols, like their uniforms, like the gray ones, and
How'd that look on the ice? Sick, I would imagine.
those were cool. I'm still willing to buy my jersey, but um, I talked to the guy recently who did buy it for 1,500. He says I've gotten offered more for it. He's like, I'm still not ready to part with it yet. So I'll try him again in 10 years from now, but I will get that jersey, Tim. Yeah, so it was cool going to the football games. It was annoying for a while because we didn't have games on Saturday nights because
Yeah.
we're Saturdays we couldn't compete with the football team. So it was Friday night at home, Saturday Birmingham, Sunday home, like, and then once football season was over, baseball season started up towards the end of our season, and it was cool going to their games, having them support us. And then you had the pro soccer team in town, the one Knox with the USL. So there's so many things to do, so many bars, places guys could go. I was one of the oldest of the group, so I it was just in me to be DD, and not the biggest drinker, but I like making sure all the guys get home. I always get FOMO, so I'm always offer to be the DD, but on ice it was unfortunate because we had a good the right vets. We had the right rookies. I think we had a little bit too much, not enough experience. There's we just were what's the word we're underworked by an older Huntsville team that got us in playoffs. They just had 5-6 guys who all retired this last season. They gave it their all, and we kind of just sat back and let them take it from us.
Yeah, that's it's a great learning experience from like games like that when like especially when a team has that much experience. Like they were in the playoffs the year before and they're a big part of that team. So just like have like that experience, like that does go a long way in the playoffs, especially against a younger squad like you guys had.
Yeah, we were you try to look and make excuses, but you can't really make any.
Yeah.
We had the most goals for, but also had the most goals against. I'm pretty sure. So you can't win a championship like that. But
Yeah. Yeah, and like
this,
but
I
like
had the best time, even though
yeah.
we lost
Got
in the first.
everything from Tennessee there.
Everything in Knoxville is true. Guys joke about Dan Vegas, Water Vegas, Knox Vegas is legit. It's its own little small Vegas there. You're on a college campus.
Yeah. Knox Vegas right there.
There you go.
Yeah, but throughout like the season, like you obviously put up a lot of good things. You were put up 16 points, 2 goals, 14 assists, and like it earned you a ECHL contract for this season with the Kansas City Mavericks. How excited are you to go to Kansas City this season?
Yeah, it's the first time in a while where I've had to pick between more than one or two teams. It's been a stressful last month. I'd like to credit, what I was able to do this past season, and we'll get into it. The mix of what Ice Wars also did, but the connections and people's eyes it caught. But it was hard choice, but with coaching staff, location, division, where the team's headed, it was an easy choice to go with Kansas City.
Yeah, and like I want to wish you the best of luck there, and like getting back to the coast. There's nothing better, and especially when you're just working up the professional ranks, and spot like Kansas City is unreal.
Yeah, it's going to be hard being an Eagles fan, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll get to a Chiefs game while I'm there, but I'll definitely be wearing some Eagles gear.
Yeah, absolutely. But like throughout the course of your career so far, like what has been like the biggest thing you've learned throughout your career?
Um, Biggest thing I've learned down my career. Wow, so many. I remember my very first trip to the front of the bus when I was in Watertown, Privateers. First time I ever heard it in my life. I was 21 years old, and when Clarkey called me to the front of the ice, Nick Nieder grabbed me right by the forearm before I went up and pulled me backwards. And he said, sit down. And I was like, I gotta go talk to coach. He goes, I know, shit, sit down. And I was like, all right, what's up? He goes, be a sponge. And I go, what does that mean? And he goes, whatever the hell he said, whatever the F he says, you say yes, sir, no, sir. In the back of your mind, if you wanna, give him the finger and say F you, just do when you get back to your seat, but shake your head, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, sir, and go sit down. uh, yeah, respect your elders. Nieder taught me a lot in my 8 games there. And then obviously he was my coach when I went to Vermilion County and playing against him in Macon. And he's been a good friend to rely on, good mentor. Biggest thing I've ever learned, yes, respect your elders. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge, especially because especially when you're a younger player, you're like a rookie and all that, like, and like guys obviously have been through the trenches and everything, especially the older guys, and like just they know a lot more than you do, especially since you are a rookie. They know a lot more clearly, so just to be able to learn from them and be a sponge around them as well as respect them.
Yeah. I mean, you learn stuff like that. That's what you're taught as a kid, respect your elders. But
Yeah.
it goes a long way. That goes a long way. Yeah. Whatever business you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Life, sports, whatever it is, respect your elders.
That and there's a good quote that that I remember in my early years. That was it was like something about just comparison is your biggest, like, man, I gotta write this one down. It's short, but it's talking about just comparing yourself to others, and that'll just ruin you. That you'll that's all you'll ever think about. Why didn't I get that call up? Why aren't I, first power play, penalty kill, first pairing? You can't look at it like that. You gotta do what's best for you, play the way that you can play, and things will come. It will always come. You always get your chance. I'm 31, finally playing in my first, hopefully, full season in the coast, and you kind of just gotta let things happen as they are. You obviously got to put in the work, but a lot of it, yeah, who luck, hard work, word of mouth, obviously not being, a bad teammate, stuff like that. But, yeah, respect your elders and don't compare yourself to anybody else. There's only one of you. You just got to be better than you were the day before.
Yeah, get that 1% better every day, and just worry about getting better, and don't worry about what anyone else is doing or like comparing yourself to how they play. You're the reason where you're at because of what you're doing.
Exactly. You can look at the last couple of years, up and down, all leagues. It's only you can change that, really.
Yeah, so you are in control of, or control what you can control, because obviously you can't control everything like the call ups and everything, but you can control how you work, your work ethic, being a good teammate, all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I want to get into Ice Wars a little bit here, since you're the recent champion this year for Ice Wars. So for those that don't know what Ice Wars is, what is Ice Wars, and like what was Ice Wars like for you this season?
Yeah, I remember being asked about doing Ice Wars last year, I believe. AJ Galante had reached out and talked about sponsoring me and whatever else sponsors I could keep. And uh, turns out Ice Wars, it was definitely a fun experience. It was stressful at times, but you got to put your own work into it. If you're not making sponsors, you're getting yourself out there, uh, getting other businesses to promote you. That's where half your money's coming from. So uh, I owe a lot to my sponsors for helping me get in the shape that I needed to. I was paying for boxing classes, fitness classes, not eating frozen pizzas at Walmart, but buying myself some good, decent, healthy food. And yeah, Ice Wars is it's not hockey. It's the fighting aspect of the game. It's a mix of boxing and hockey on synthetic ice in an octagon shape, but you're wearing MMA gloves. So you're not hitting down when guys are, fall down, same as hockey rules. Um, they were a little bit stiffer on the rules of when helmets fell off, but they didn't want guys getting hurt and falling down and hitting head. But so the refs did their job. That's what they asked for. But mine kept popping off in the first match. Other guys kept popping off in one of the grudge matches. But once they taped that on, that's where all my breaks went to. The elevation in Cheyenne is no joke. I went out to Denver a week before to get used to the elevation. I was rollerblading 5 miles a day with my buddy, and that did not. It got me, kept my lungs fresh, but you're still 1,000 feet below than what it was in Cheyenne. And I heard they said it was 3 times higher than it was when it was in Edmonton or
Wow.
Calgary a couple years ago. So that was the hardest part, battling that. But yeah, it was supposed to be an 8-man tournament. One guy had to back out because of it was just long travel. Guy wasn't too happy with the travel and just called it, went back home. But that resulted in the guy who I fought in the second round got a bye, so he didn't have to fight. And yeah, it was a 7-man tournament. You win, you move on. They drew it up the day before, so we knew we were fighting the day before. So I guess they couldn't have us watching film for 2 months, stuff
So you
like
can
that.
scout them.
Yeah, it sucked because everyone was scouting me. Everyone was seeing my videos. They kept asking me questions about this fight and that fight, and yeah, Ice Wars was cool. It was. I was glad to have a few friends out there to support me. I had a buddy in my corner. Uh, Shine was crazy though. You are that high up, and you don't realize it until you come out of the bar, and you're looking at these like green hills that like you're looking out at like a farm, but those are mountaintops. They just have grass
Wow.
on them.
You're
You're
on
you're
cloud nine over there with the
exactly.
elevation.
Yeah. Um, there wasn't much around. It was definitely a one horse town. But yeah, I'm excited to have that done and over with, and head into the hockey season, get all healed up. Hands are
Wow.
hands are almost back.
How long was it ago? It was like 2 weeks ago, right?
It was 2 weekends ago tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
your hands are still trying to heal from that.
Yeah, my middle finger's still a little swollen. I injured it earlier in the season, game 3 of the season. It was in Birmingham, and I actually was just beginning to fight a buddy of mine back here in Philly, and my middle finger got caught in
Oh,
his. Can't really see it. It's pretty big.
yeah, there
Got
you
caught
go.
shoulder pad and snapped, and he went down, and I went with it, and it was sideways. It was pretty gross. It was cool though, but hockey player, you had to finish the game, and then I was out for a good month in a cast, and then I was pushing pucks around, realized I could kind of shoot a puck, and I felt like I wasn't doing any help, sitting on the IR. So
Yeah.
played a few months with a cast on, and then it was good enough for Ice Wars. So luckily nothing bad happened, but walked away with a decent check and a crown.
Yeah, luckily the season doesn't start for a couple more months, so you got time to let that thing heal.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what was the feeling like when you got that final knockout in Ice Wars and you were the champion?
Yeah, it was funny. It was the least nervous I've ever been. um, it got easier each fight. Obviously, I got used to the elevation, but it was, it helped that I had fought Andre Thibault 2 years ago when I was in Watertown, and I knew what to expect. And also, he just had a big tilt with Callan Big Snake, who's 300 plus pounds, and
Oh,
Andre beat him in a what they called an icebreaker, which was overtime, so a 32nd round 3. And yeah, I got him with an uppercut. It was kind of like the wrist. It was kind of my forearm. um, and I just got him in the jaw, and yeah, he called it. I think that one rang his bell a little bit.
yeah, and then you got the crown and the paychecks.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah,
life right there.
yeah. It was. I wasn't too excited about getting the crown because obviously it was. Obviously, I have it here for you, but
There we go. There it is.
everyone jokes about me if now I can go work at Burger King. Brown and
You're
Brown.
the mascot of Burger King now.
Yeah, now I can just walk up to Burger King and yeah, I get free meals at Burger King. That's what this is. It's cool. That'll go in the man cave someday. But the money was nice too. Um, like I said, I love grabbing souvenirs from places. I'll show you. One thing I brought back with me was one of the posters on the boards. If you watch the fight,
Yeah. Oh,
you can see the blood on it.
yeah, there we go. The real thing, real deal.
I don't know whose blood it is, but it's in my living room.
You have someone's DNA in your living room.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Walked away
But
with a crown.
good times though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like any other, uh, pro weekend where you might go out to the bars after, and if you see a guy on the other team that you fought, you're drinking beers with him. I've many times before, and it was cool drinking with all them after, celebrating. Everybody was all good vibes, and it was a night I will not forget. That was cool going to war with those guys, and then sharing stories and talking about next year, and uh, yeah, I'll definitely cherish that moment.
Yeah, those are the best times when you fight a guy that night and then go grab a beer with him and like you're like best friends with him after that.
Yeah, I'd say I'm still in contact with 3 or 4 guys that I've fought over the years. Just, oh, where are you playing this year? just stuff like that. It's not often, but I'll get a message once in a while from guys that I've gone to battle with. So
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's why the hockey community is so close, because just things like that happen, and then you can go to war, go to battle against guys, and then just enjoy the time, share stories off the ice, like you said.
what it's about. It's where the friendships start.
Absolutely. But before we wrap things up here, I have a few Q&A questions that
Right.
people put up on Instagram. So what's been your most memorable fight?
Not counting Ice Wars.
Yeah, not counting Ice Wars.
Uh, whew. uh, a lot of them were this year. I mean, I've never had a guy talk so much and be so much bigger than me, and then not drop his gloves just to get a penalty and start off the game with a power play when really it didn't work. We got
Yeah.
1-1, and I chased him the full length of the ice, and I got lucky. I threw a few punches. I got him pretty good, and he never dropped his gloves or his stick. And we each got 2 minutes for roughing.
Hey,
So
two is better than
that one was,
five there.
that one was different. I mean, that will always stick out. Fights this year in the past. I think my first ever pro fight was against Roger Taguna. Like I said, still contact with him. We see each other at social media. He's all the way up in Nunavut, land of Jordan Tutu, where all the Eskimos are. So I remember he told me a story that up there, if you're not I can't remember what animal it was, if it was like a sea lion or like a narwhal, something crazy. Where if you're not a man until you kill like a narwhal, and that's like age 10 or 12. Like it's wild. You're skinning elk up there at like age 8. Yeah, he was a next level tough. I
It's
remember
a
at that
steal over there.
first one in the Federal League. Same building. I had my first pro goal in, and I found out years later that was the same arena that Wayne Gretzky had his first pro goal in.
Wow.
He was in the WHL with the Oilers before they went to the NHL. It was Dayton, the O'Hare Arena. O'Hare.
Wow.
Dayton.
You have
Yeah,
something in common with Gretzky.
right? Exactly.
That's unreal, and not something you will never forget. That's for sure. But the next one is dream NHL team to play with.
Current
Yeah, we'll go current.
team I'd love to play with. Oh, playing with someone like Matthew Tkachuk would be fun.
Yeah.
Just cleaning up his mess. But organizations, man, I love Philly, but not right now. uh, I would say Philly in the 70s and 80s, but um, maybe also around the time Lindros was around, that would have been cool. But current NHL organization, um, Boston, Chicago. I couldn't play in Toronto, that's for sure. Um, I like the one that I'm currently in with Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking a ways down the road, but it would be cool to get called up and go play in Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
Seattle, brand new organization, already in the playoffs, their second season. Uh, but I'm gonna have to go with my final answer, playing in Vegas, being a Golden Knight. Uh, that would be pretty sweet.
There's no atmosphere other than
Yeah,
what
I,
you see in Vegas. Like that's an unreal atmosphere.
yeah, that's a show over there. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun watching the Vegas games in the Stanley Cup because you just see the show, like that whole environment's absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, that would, that's definitely an arena I got to get to before. Uh, I I start to have kids and can't travel. I got to get to
Yeah.
a Vegas.
I agree 100% with that statement. It's a must visit.
What's your team you want to play for if you could?
It's tough. Probably hometown kid, so probably the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
Just because like it's an original six, like
been to one.
all the history and everything, like that's and from Chicago, so obviously I got to go to the Blackhawks.
I went to a game there when I was playing in Quad City. I was sitting right by the bench, third row. They won in overtime. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
The whole
especially when you get the game in overtime, crowd goes wild.
It was wild, but it was cool. The whole arena was singing the national anthem.
Get chills every time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Is
but
that it?
I have one more question,
Oh
and
God, I know.
it's would you would you rather take a 10-minute pounding from Shaq or Shrek?
I like my chances with Shrek. Yeah, Shaq
Final answer?
you gotta put Shaq in his prime, and Shaq in his prime. There's no one
Yeah,
bigger in skill. So
no. That's
Shrek,
an
I'll
automatic
I'll
loss, no matter
take,
what.
I'll take my odds with Shrek.
Yeah, there you go. But Devo, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you again for coming on the show and doing it again after we've had technical difficulties. I
Yeah,
appreciate your time and want to wish you the best of luck going forward with next season.
thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.